Hello, boys and girls. This is Miss Larson, and I am coming to you from my dining room / kitchen area. And we are going to do our fourth at-home lesson. This should be day 4 of your at-home lesson. So by the time you come to this video, you should have done 2 days of finishing up the spring break packet. So great job if you've got that done. And day 3 of your lessons is reviewing how to use a protractor and doing some measuring and drawing angles. So if you have not done that lesson, please go back and do that before you do today's lesson. Today's lesson, 11.4, we're going to be using a protractor to draw angles, and so you will need to know how to do that. So if you haven't done that, go back and do day 3 on your packet. This should be Wednesday, April 1st. If you do not have a packet, the link is in the description down below, so you can download it and print it at home. Or if you cannot print it at home, you can message me, either private message me on Dojo or message me here on YouTube. Send me your address and I will mail you a packet, and you'll get it in a couple of days, okay? So you'll need your packet to do today's lesson. Today's lesson is 11.4, and it's talking about how to add and subtract angles to find measurements. So really quick, as a quick introduction, at the back of your packet behind day 40, which is about symmetry, we have a few pages of resources. The first page of resources is reviewing types of angles and measurements of angles and how to write the names of angles. So you will need to remember acute, obtuse, and right, and the measurements for those, because that's going to be very important to help you with today's lesson. There's a page with notes about parallel and perpendicular lines. You'll need that in a few days. And if you do not have a protractor at home, there's a protractor at the back. You can cut it out and have it ready for today's lesson. You will also need a straight edge. I'm using a ruler. If you have a ruler, that's perfect. If you don't have a ruler, you can use the edge of a book or a folder, anything that's kind of thick that you can trace to draw a straight line, because you'll need that. So we are going to be starting today on page 9 of our packet. So please turn to page 9 of your packet. And you can see on page 9, there are a few questions that show how angles can be added together. So let's go to the whiteboard for a minute. Let's say that we have an angle that's 90 degrees. It's a right angle, so it's 90 degrees. And we have a 30-degree angle attached to it. So when we look at this, you should know that a right angle is 90 degrees. So we should already know that. And we're going to add that together with our 30-degree angle to find the total new obtuse angle that's made by these two angles put together. So we would do 90 degrees plus 30 degrees, and we would get 120 degrees. So take a moment, you can pause the video if you want, and do numbers 1, 2, and 3 on page 9 that review how to add angles together. Welcome back. Hopefully you've done numbers 1, 2, and 3 on page 9. We're going to move on now on how to use subtraction to find unknown measurements. So I want you to flip back with me actually to page 7 of your packet. So page 7 of your packet, you will see 10 questions that all use a straight angle. So this was our review question from before. Now, a straight angle is how many degrees? Do you remember? If you don't remember, you can flip back and look at the notes page at the back of the packet. I'll give you a sec to do that while I draw my straight angle. Did you find it? A straight angle is how many degrees? 180, that's right. So if we know that a straight angle is 180 degrees, so we know that this whole angle, the whole thing here is 180 degrees, and we know that this part is 50 degrees, then we can do 180 degrees minus the 50-degree piece to find this unknown piece here. Okay, so when we subtract, we get 130 degrees And 130 degrees plus 50 degrees makes 180 degrees. So on page 7 of your packet, you are going to be subtracting the chunk that you're given from the measurement of a straight angle, which is 180 degrees, to find the unknown measurement. Okay? Now, turning back to page 9, the next skill that we need to talk about here is finding unknown measurements in a circle. So, if we have a circle that has, let's say, a straight angle in the middle, and then a right angle, all right, so let's say this is angle A, angle B, angle C, and angle D, and we need to find the measurement of each angle. Well, some of them we should know from studying angles. Angle A is a straight angle. This here is a straight angle. So looking back at our notes, a straight angle is 180 degrees. So angle A is 180 degrees. Now, when we add, let's back up a little bit. When we add all these angles together, angle A, angle B, angle C, and angle D, what is the total that we should get at the end? Well, a full circle is how many degrees? Not sure? Well, if you've ever watched BMX biking or skateboarding, if you've ever done anything like that, then you know that there's a trick where you can fly up in the air on a ramp and do a full circle all the way around and face back the same direction. Do you know what that's called? One of the names they call that is a 360. The reason that's called a 360 is because there's 360 degrees in a full circle. Now, if Miss Larson tried to do that, I'd fall and break every bone in my body. Thankfully, there are talented people that can show us what a 360 is without breaking every bone in their body. But anyways, a full circle is 360 degrees, and that doesn't matter if it's a teeny tiny 1 centimeter circle or a huge 30-foot circle. Every circle is 360 degrees. So when we add up all 4 of these measurements, we should get at the end 360. Every circle is 360 degrees. So A plus B plus C plus D is going to equal 360. So we know that A is a straight angle, and if you look at this, what other angle do we know without even having to use a protractor? We should know angle B because it is a right angle, and right angles are 90 degrees. So that's 2 of our angles we already know. So now we need to figure out C and D. Well, what do C and D both have in common? Look at them for a sec. What do they both have in common? If you look at angle C and angle D, they are both acute angles, which means that they are both going to be less than 90 degrees. So when we do our measurement, we'll know that our measurement is going to be less than 90 degrees. So if I take my protractor and line it up with the line on the vertex, and I look where this line goes, well, it goes right past 60 or 120. Well, it can't be 120 because 120 would be an obtuse angle. So that means it's going to be between 50 and 60 degrees. So let's say it's 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. I think 56 is right in the middle. So angle C is a 56 degree angle. Now for angle D, we actually don't have to measure. We could, but to get the most accurate answer possible, what we could do instead is add up the 3 measurements that we know, angle A, angle B, and angle C, and then for angle D, we'll subtract. So we're going to do 180 plus 90 plus 56, 8 plus 17 plus 5 is 22, and we get 326 degrees. And a complete circle, remember, is 360. So we can take 360 minus 326. We have to borrow here. And we don't have to do any more borrowing. So now 10 minus 6 is 4. 5 minus 2 is 3. And we get 34 degrees. And we can check our answer by adding all these up to make sure that they add up to 360. So 180 plus 90 plus 56 plus 34 plus 8 is 26. And we get 360 degrees. So that means that our answers check out. So you can use that now to do numbers 4 and 5 on page 9. For number 4, we don't really know any of those angles. You can decide if they're acute or obtuse or right before you start. Number 5, you might know some of those before you get started. But I want you to go ahead and practice this skill on page 8 and page 9, finding the unknown measurements, knowing that a full circle is 360 degrees. All right, boys and girls, before we move on, I wanted to look at number 4. You should have done number 4 already. If you haven't, please pause the video and go back and do it. But if you're having a little trouble, one thing that you can do, because if you look at the protractor that we have, if you're having a little trouble measuring these angles, the protractor that we have is way too big for the lines that we're given. So what we're going to do before we start is use a straight edge, a ruler, a folder, anything you can, to lengthen these lines. So we're going to make them nice and long. And notice when I lengthened it, that I lined it up very carefully. I lined up my straight edge very carefully right along the line. It's not tilted one way or another way. It's straight off of it, okay? So I know that kind of messes up our paper a little bit, but we need to get our accurate measurements. So we are going to lengthen these lines, and we're going to do it nice and neatly so that we can then line up our protractor. I'm going to put my centerpiece at the vertex, and I'm going to line up this ray here along the bottom, and I'm going to look where this line goes. Now this is an obtuse angle, so that's bigger than 90 degrees, so that means that I'm going to be using the 120, and this is 130, and it seems to go right through about 120 degrees. So this angle here that we just measured is 120 degrees. Now we can measure this angle here, put our vertex at the point, line up this ray along the line. Again, this is an obtuse angle, so that means we're using the inside numbers, and it goes right through 140. So this one is 140. Now, what we just talked about, we don't actually have to measure this last angle to get it. What we can do instead is do 120 plus 140 to get these two angles together. Sorry, my brain took off there for a sec. And then these two angles together are 260. The total is 360. So we can do 360 minus the 260, and we'll get 100 degrees. So this one is 100 degrees. And it says here, label each angle with its measure. We did that. Use a protractor to find the measure. We did that. Now write the sum, which is an addition problem, of the angle measures as an equation. So we're going to do 120 degrees plus 140 degrees plus 100 degrees equals 360 degrees. All right? That's how you do it. Okay, boys and girls, now that we've finished the lesson part of today, you're going to go back and do the work. That is pages 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. On the front page of your packet, there's a chart that tells you what to do each day along with each lesson. So you're going to work through pages 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then for the homework piece, you're going to do lesson 11.4 in your homework book. And that's what I need you to take a picture of and send to me. So you'll take a picture of both sides of that and send those 2 pictures to me on Dojo or through email. And I will look over them and give you feedback on how you did, okay? So get your work done. If you have any questions, if you're having any trouble, feel free to put a comment in the video down below so that everybody can see your question and they can see my answers too. Because if you have a question, chances are really good that someone else is gonna have the same question. So tomorrow we will be back again to do 11.5. I miss you guys very, very much, and I can't wait till we're back together doing this all in person. I'll see you back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.